fair warning, this video is going to be an absolute doozy because I have so many thoughts, and I'd like to apologize for the subpar editing in advance because usually I pride myself on to have at least mediocre editing, which you could find out if you subscribe to my channel, I don't know. But I'm really trying to pump out this video because I am a pawn in the corporate chess game that is social media algorithms and virality, which we'll talk about later because today we're unpacking my trauma. And also unpacking Bo Burnham's new special, Inside, which is unpacking my trauma and my trauma at the same time. Disclaimer, if you haven't seen Inside yet, go do that first. Because I'm not going to be necessarily like spoiling the special, but I'm going to be referencing it in a way that just will not make sense if you haven't seen it, and I'm not going to be explaining enough about the bits for you to understand just from this video. So go watch that, and then you can come back here if you'd like. Also, Inside dives into a lot of serious topics that can be potentially triggering, specifically regarding mental health, like depression and anxiety, so please continue watching only at your own discretion. I'm mostly going to be talking about mental health in regards to what Bo Burnham talked about in his special. I will be unpacking some of my own trauma, even though not a lot of it, because I'm not famous yet and I can't exploit my trauma for clicks, which is the only thing. Woo! Hi! Sorry for the different outfit, which you probably didn't even tell, it's just another black shirt, like all my shirts are, and the different lighting, and the... I somehow lost 2 or 3 minutes of my original footage. So after having a small crisis on the toilet, I decided that I would go ahead and re-record. The same things that I said yesterday. So let's just get started again. I love Bo Burnham, his comedy specifically. I'm trying to refrain from saying that like I love Bo Burnham because I'm trying to stop myself from creating or continuing these unhealthy parasocial relationships because, you know, he's a celebrity. He's not a person that I like truly know. And I've had my fair share of unhealthy parasocial relationships because I am mentally ill and was on Stan Twitter. And I was on Stan Twitter because I am mentally ill, as you probably could tell from everyone who is on Stan Twitter. And one of the reasons I love Bo's comedy so much is because I grew up with it. There's a nostalgic factor. That's just another less embarrassing way of me saying that I had 99% of what memorized in 7th grade. If you turn on the Left Brain, Right Brain song, I don't apologize for the person that I will become. But I will admit that his older specials did not age the most gracefully. Like, I was an orientation leader at my university and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be a great idea to show my new students what? And it wasn't. Probably not the best reflection of who I am as a person, especially because I was still laughing at it and enjoying it for the most part. But the aging of the specials is something that Bo actually covers in his new special Inside, as he covers a lot of things. There are a lot of things. So the game plan for this video, so I don't talk for like 3 hours straight about it, is to pick a set of themes that I think are interesting, not necessarily the most important themes, if you can even decide what those are, or even the themes that are the most present. These are just themes that I find very interesting and feel like I can string my thoughts together on. But then I'll also just like shove other shit in that I want to talk about because I can do what I want, and I will. There are 3 themes that I'd like to talk about in particular. The first is self-awareness, specifically in relation to a digital world. The second is isolation, also in relation to a digital world, and a world in which we are experiencing global health things. And lastly, I just want to talk about the process of creation, which is going to be me talking about it thematically, but also me kind of just like stroking Bo Burnham's stick because I've got to do it somewhere. So for self-awareness, there are both visual and verbal elements that like show this theme in the special. Some of the visual elements include the exposure of all the technical elements like the cords and the cameras and the lights. And also I think the initial zooming in to the lens, to the blackness of the lens that happens in the first few minutes of the special, I feel that really sets the scene, really puts us into the world of Inside. Because you know, you're inside his room, but you're also inside the camera, inside this digital world, inside the screen, inside all these things. Are you getting annoyed yet with how much I'm extrapolating? Because I kinda am. As for verbal elements that cue us into self-awareness, some of that could be talking directly into the camera, the lyrics to certain songs like Problematic and Funny Feeling, and somewhat like adding in laugh tracks to certain bits, which is more auditory than verbal, you could say, but I don't care enough to, you know, it didn't fit with the alliteration at the beginning, so it's here. The reasons that I made sure to point out when first introducing the topic of self-awareness, the whole idea of it being in relation to a digital world, and why I wanted to point out the visual elements of exposing the technical aspects, is because I think that this theme of self-awareness really ties into the fact that social media and other forms of digital interactions have forced us to be very acutely aware of how we are perceived by the world and be very acutely aware of ourselves while simultaneously being extremely disconnected from ourselves. I think that the reaction video bit that he does really like encapsulate this idea. As a YouTuber, if I even want to call myself that, which I don't, I am very fascinated by the phenomenon of reaction videos, specifically those in the style of like Sniper Wolf. Those are really the only ones I know because I don't watch them because I don't really like them. And this is where, of this of all places, is the places where I stopped filming, so the camera stopped recording. So, you know, enjoy this fun transition in this weird cutoff. Woo! I could go into that right now, but it's not really relevant. I might talk about it in a later vid. But it's mostly that I'm probably just a bitch. That's probably what it boils down to. Also, I'm self-aware of the fact that I make commentary videos, and really, where can you draw the line between reaction videos and commentary videos, or reaction videos and gameplay videos? Like, I make both of those. Like, I am... Am I a reaction YouTuber? And does it even matter if one type of content is better than the other? Because all of us are essentially playing into the hands of these giant, ridiculously wealthy corporations who are gonna wring out the human psyche in order to get like a couple of bucks. But stepping away from my trauma, there was thunder outside right as I had the realization that this is a reaction video. There might be reaction in the title. I don't know what I've become. But anyways, I love how Bo is pushing the boundaries with his media, which I think he's done in like past specials. There's kind of constant conversations about whether his like What and Make Happy are actual stand-up or if it's more of a performance, where the line between those two is. And he continues to push the boundaries of traditional comedy with this digital form by also bringing in other digital forms that aren't Netflix, like referencing YouTube and Twitch in this, because like his audience would be familiar with that. Especially because YouTube is a platform that he was once on. So it's kind of like bringing it all back, bringing the history back. I also love the idea of the reaction form as a tool for unpacking your own feelings, and also the form as a metaphor for how we are constantly perceiving ourselves from an outside perspective. We're looking at ourselves like an outsider would, so that we can meticulously craft a persona that we would like to present to the world. But in crafting this persona and in inundating ourselves with all of these different perspectives on ourselves, we kind of put our identity in a perpetual state of flux. As for isolation, the most obvious thing to say is that, you know, because of global events, he had to film this alone and do it all alone. But I'm quirky, I'm not like other girls, so I'm not gonna say that. Instead, I want to explore isolation as it relates to the bit that we just discussed, and I'm going to do this by presenting another bit. The thank you video with the knife, where he's like, thank you for enjoying my content, thank you for watching my content, but the knife is constantly looming. You've got this threat of violence that is being juxtaposed with the optimism of his face and his words and his body language. There are two things that I'd like to focus on in this particular bit. The first one is the assumed audience. In this bit, he says that he is making content that he hopes his audience will enjoy and that he thanks them for enjoying it. creators, especially those of like purely digital media, operate fully on these assumptions. The assumptions that a creator makes about their audience influence all of the decisions that they make when creating content. So you've got this invisible audience like pulling the strings. And I think a lot of the time the creator is really disconnected from the actual people who are watching the videos and more connected to the audience that is inside their mind, which is kind of in reality themselves. So in being connected with this audience that is in reality just a manifestation of your own desires and anxieties about your content, it's kind of isolating yourself from the actual audience or the people around you. The second thing I like to focus on is the silence at the end, which I know is for comedic purposes, but also it perfectly captures the very dehumanizing feeling of being a digital content creator. And I don't mean to say that in a way that's like, oh, whoa, pity me because I make little stupid videos online. As a content creator, specifically digitally, that's like the experience that I have. Sort of, I mean, in theater it's different because you are performing, like actually the lines aren't super blurry. We'll discuss that later. But in digital media specifically, you become sort of a machine. You choreograph all your body movements, your facial expressions, you time your breaths and your words in order to get the perfect shot. And then you immediately drop it all. Like I could be gesticulating wildly and super smiling and then I'd pause and drop it. I could be really sad, I could be really angry, and then I drop it. Because content creators are playing a fictional version of themselves. And I don't know if all content creators feel this way. You know, some might feel that they're creating more honestly than others, but this is a feeling that I've noticed. And the few people who have seen me like filming a video have like pointed that out. And that brings me to the process of creation. One of the most special things to me in Inside is all of the glimpses it gives into setting up and shooting and retaking and editing and just all of the stuff that goes on in the background. So much happens behind the scenes, especially when it's one person doing most of the heavy lifting on a project. These glimpses begin to guide us into a conversation about digital media and levels of orchestration in different forms of digital media. Specifically in digital media that is supposed to be presented as kind of raw and honest. So the 3 levels of orchestration that I'd like to propose, I sound like an academic. They are scripted, outlined, and unplanned or real. Some of the things that are scripted in the special are obviously going to be things like the songs, because if he was able to improv those, I would be so incredibly impressed. And then like the stand-up bits. As for outlined, I can only speculate. Some of the things that I speculate might be outlined are like the countdown to 30, possibly the all-time low Atlanta joke because transitions into a bit and then comes back out of it. Same for the introduction to the concept of the show where he has the transition joke in it. I don't know if he has every single word of those scripted or if he kind of has an outline of what he says leading up to a certain segue to a joke. As for the completely unplanned moments, there's 2 in particular. One is a little bit more trivial, which is when he's grabbing the monitor to like see what he's shooting and accidentally drops the camera and is like, oh shit. And the other one is when he has, before he admits that he's not doing well, he has the very angry meltdown. For that one, I know that Bo is a wonderful actor, so I wonder if that was truly like a raw moment that he captured on camera, not intending to, or if that's a recreation of a moment that he experienced while creating this special. We've already acknowledged that content creators are dramatizing a version of themselves and playing that role, but we have to wonder like where the line between reality and fiction is. In what moment do the 2 versions of the creator, the person and the character, coexist? Are there moments in which these 2 versions can coexist? Or must they always be separate? Or are they always together? I don't know. The lines between reality and fiction when it comes to a creator's persona are often blurred, but Bo really emphasizes and continues the blurring of them by giving these glimpses and also having talks about his own mental health. I could talk about parasocial relations, which I really want to, but I gotta save that for another video because I could go crazy about that. It's just a whole other can of worms that I will be opening at a different time, probably at multiple times, because that is a lot to unpack. That about wraps up my actual academic discussion of the inside. The inside? Inside. Literally, the only reason I'm an English major is so I can appropriate the language from articulate academics and then use it to talk about things that I like comedy specials. You see, I did it right there. Did I use any of the vocabulary right? that's for me to decide, and I decide yes. Now I want to just gush about it, and this special is special to me in so many ways, genuinely. Bo has always been a comedic inspiration of mine, or always since 7th grade, because like my life practically started in 7th grade, I guess. And this special solidified that wholly, like past wholly. Like I'm like 200%, I'm like 1,000% solidified. I'm more solid than a solid can be. Science has not discovered the state of solid in which I am in. He's like the Renaissance man, like I love comedy and writing and filming and editing and music, and he does it all, and it inspires me to push myself to do it all and learn it all. And to see how Bo's content has grown with time makes me really excited to see how my own content will grow with time and how I can continually push myself creatively if I just keep creating. But most important to me in this special was his candid discussion about his anxiety. And I know I joked about unpacking my trauma, but if I'm being really honest, I absolutely hate talking about my mental health in every way. But this is very important to me. My feelings on the special in regards to mental health are very important to me, and I feel that I won't be able to properly articulate those feelings without contextualizing it, those feelings with my own personal experiences. So, all aboard the trauma bus, a whoop whoop. I have had anxiety for literally as long as I can remember. Like, how I said I always had Bo as a comedic inspiration or whatever? No, like I've always had anxiety. I came out of the womb shivering and shaking and quaking in my boots, dude. And I've gotten better. Definitely better. Better than 2nd grade me was. 2nd grade me was not having a good time. But I am also in theater and do a lot of performing because I am acting a lot of the time. And I've been acting since 7th grade when my life started. And I think pretty much every single show I've been in, I have had a panic attack on stage, either for right before in the beginning of the show or the entirety of the show, both in rehearsals and on stage. So it's a lot, and it is the worst, but I can't stop because I love it. I hate the way it makes me feel when I get anxious, just all the time, but I love performing and creating. What I love to do is literally killing me. And I know it sounds dramatic, but it's true, and you have to trust me on this because I do not want to dive into my physical health as it's relates to my mental health, but it's killing me. And no one tells you what to do in that situation. No one prepares you for that choice. You can choose to live and feel like you're dying, or you can choose to die. Because to hold yourself back from doing what you love is to die. So what do you do when both of your choices are death? Which poison do you pick? I think that the special taught me that I don't have to choose either of those poisons, which is great. I think at first it may seem like Bo chose death because he stopped doing comedy for 5 years. But I think it was more of he gave himself the time to rest and recover and get better, and he kept going. And I think that's what I want to be able to do for myself. I want to try to get better and keep going. Anyways, the trauma is packed away. It's getting pushed back into the dirtiest and deepest corner of my closet, and I'm not gonna take this shit back out until I go to therapy. Which, when will that be? You guys will never find out, and I might not either. If you made it this far, good lord, you are a trooper. Thanks, I guess? This probably will not be the last video I make on this topic because there are so many more things to explore. I could talk about the sock puppet song forever. I could talk about the problematic song forever. I could just talk about this whole special, probably for the length of this special or even longer, 5 times longer, because there's just so much to explore in relation to big, theoretical things and social things and personal things. It's just so much that you can dive into. And I haven't given myself that much time to reflect on it. I've watched the special twice. It came out yesterday. So I've had a solid, like, I don't know, 24 to 48 hours. And as time goes by and the circumstances shift, you know, our feelings are subject to shift as well, which is crazy. Like, who thought that we could be, you know, complex creatures with constantly shifting perspectives? I just know that my perspective on the special as a whole will not change. I will continue to love the special, and I will probably grow to love it more. And I am extremely excited to see the ways in which I love it more and how those relate to my future life experiences. And I cannot fucking wait to watch this when I turn 30 and have the biggest mental breakdown of my life. So thank you for watching, and comment down below what you thought about the special, if there are certain topics about this that you'd like me to, you know, dive further into, whether it be specifically about this special or in relation to other media, larger social trends. I love learning. I want to read more things about, like, you know, these parasocial relationships and like brand awareness and like all of the stuff that he mentioned is crazy and so cool, and I just want to expand my brain until it gets so big that it can't fit in my head anymore. I don't know what washed over me there. Anyways, comment, subscribe if you like. If you made it this far, you might as well. It's not like I post videos that often, which I'm gonna try. But I always say that, but I'm gonna try. But I always say that. So who knows? Thanks. Watch Inside again. If you made it this far, I assume you've watched it once at least, but watch it again. Please, I'm gonna watch it again tomorrow. How exciting. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time, whenever that is. I almost copied Simply Nailogical's outro accidentally, so I'm just gonna leave now. Bye.